Jobbers in wrestling have been a constant throughout the history of sports entertainment. Often on the brunt end of jokes and ridicule, a jobber's purpose is to lace up the boots, go to the ring, usually without any kind of fanfare, theme music, or heaven forbid, an entrance video, and that same jobber will be under instruction to pretty much take a beating from his opponent. The common jobber, or enhancement guy if we want to be a little more generous in terms of labelling, has the sole job of making their opponent look like a superstar. If the jobber is lucky, he or she will be brought back to do it again. If they are really lucky, they can get hired and paid a wage to take beatings on a constant schedule. It does take a special someone to know their place in wrestling when it comes to being a full-time jobber. You have heard the saying so many times before, from Triple H to Steve Austin to Dusty Rhodes, that if you aren't in the wrestling business to be number one, then you shouldn't be in the wrestling business. I'm sure the same inspirational advice isn't spared to the Enhancement Guys. A group of guys within the WWE would join together to form the J.O.B Squad, with J.O.B standing for just over broke. The idea behind the group was the members were usually booked to lose on WWE shows, so the J.O.B Squad would band together to see if their fortunes would change. This video takes a brief look at the J.O.B Squad in the WWF. First, let's take a look at every member of the J.O.B Squad, and you can decide if these guys really were jobbers before they banded together. I will say this before going forward, the J.O.B Squad were indeed booked to lose frequently at different times in their careers, but I wouldn't label any of them as totally strict enhancement guys, except one. To me, a jobber does just that, job, for the majority of their careers. I don't think every single member in the J.O.B Squad was a strict journeyman or enhancement guy, but yes, there were periods of time when they were used to get other big talent over, and yes, these guys weren't winning any world titles anytime soon in the WWE. First there was Al Snow, and yeah, his first stint in the old WWF was filled with failed gimmicks and plenty of jobbing. Who could forget Avatar, Shinobi and Leif Cassidy during the dark days of Al's career? I'll tell you who, most people who watch wrestling, with the exception of us fans who love looking into stuff like this. Anyway, Al Snow was, in storyline, driven insane by the jobbing he had to do in his early WWF days, and with this new schizophrenic character who was broken by the WWF, Al Snow and Head got a lot of attention in ECW. Al had wore a J.O.B Squad shirt previously in ECW, and I believe the term J.O.B Squad was kinda like an inside joke with some of the boys backstage. Supporting this statement is the fact that the Road Dogg wore a J.O.B Squad shirt and made mention of the Squad on the March 30th episode of Raw is War, the night after WrestleMania 14, and the same night he joined D-Generation X. This was nearly 8 months before the official J.O.B Squad group made their debut on WWF TV. Bob Holly, at one point in his career, wasn't the hardcore Holly we would all grow to love. Holly began his career with some mild success in Memphis and the NWA. He went to WCW where he was used strictly as a job guy, and when he made his way to the WWF in 1994 as Thurman Sparky Plugg, he was used mainly to make other guys look good. That being said, he did win the tag titles with the 1-2-3 Kid at the 1995 Royal Rumble, though the team dropped the titles the next day on Raw. Holly also pinned the IC champion Jeff Jarrett on WWF Action Zone in mid-1995, but Jarrett's foot was on the ropes. The title ended up vacated, and Holly's win here is not recognised by the WWE. Before joining the J.O.B Squad, Bob Holly was part of the short-lived NWA stable within the WWF, where he was renamed Bombastic Bob, and he held the NWA tag titles along with Bodacious Bart for a period of time. Cold Scorpio was, at one point, very talented in the ring and also quite popular. Scorpio received training at the New Japan Dojo, was a tag champion in WCW and had 4 TV title reigns in ECW. When he made his way to the WWF in 1996, he was repackaged as Flash Funk, as seemingly being Cold Scorpio, a character who had gotten over well in ECW, wasn't enough for Vince McMahon and the WWF. Flash Funk was soon losing matches in the WWF after a small push during his debut. Dwayne Gill, to me, was the biggest jobber the J.O.B Squad ever had, though thanks to the J.O.B Squad, he ended up having the most success out of the group. When Gill made his way to the WWF in 1991, he did nothing but job to the likes of Kerry Von Erich, Jim Duggan, The Undertaker and others. Literally a jobber to the stars. He got a victory while working as one half of the infamous Toxic Turtles in the World Wrestling Federation, but that gimmick was wisely stopped before it got any more hilarious. He also competed in the Executioners tag team in the WWF, but when his tag partner left, Dwayne Gill was back to jobbing on a consistent basis. He disappeared from the company in 1994 but re-emerged in the WWF in 1998. The Blue Meanie debuted in the WWF and joined the J.O.B Squad pretty much on arrival, which is really odd when you think about it. If these guys were supposed to be jobbers, and membership is granted by being a jobber, then Meanie must have felt that WWE already knew he wasn't going to be a success in the company when he was thrown straight into the faction. Needless to say, Meanie and the BWO were quite popular in ECW as a parody of WCW's New World Order faction. He never was going to win any world championships though, in all fairness, but still an entertaining and offbeat character. So all the guys mentioned here were members of the J.O.B Squad. The group was initially formed by Al Snow, Bob Holly and Scorpio in November of 1998, and the team had their first match and victory on the November 8th episode of Sunday Night Heat, when Scorpio and Holly defeated Too Much. A few weeks later though, on an episode of Raw is War, the J.O.B Squad would have their most successful night. The November 22nd edition of Raw is War in 98 indeed belonged to the J.O.B Squad. Mankind was booked into a triple threat match against Corporation members Ken Shamrock and the Big Boss Man. With the odds seemingly stacked against Mrs. Foley's baby boy, the J.O.B Squad helped Mankind score a win. That same night, the J.O.B Squad found a new member as Dwayne Gill joined the group and scored an upset win over Christian, capturing the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship. We weren't done yet though, as the squad would get yet another upset victory later that night. Bob Holly and Scorpio defeated the New Age Outlaws after interference from Shamrock, the Boss Man, Mick Foley and the remaining squad members. The reaction for the J.O.B Squad on this night was nothing short of amazing. It was the classic tale of the underdogs finally getting the victories. It's telling that the only person who did anything within the J.O.B Squad afterwards of significance, and I use the term lightly, was Dwayne Gill. He went on to parody Bill Goldberg, which garnered quite a bit of attention. He managed to hold on to the light heavyweight title in a rematch against Christian when J.O.B Squad member the Blue Meanie joined the group, and he defeated Mark Merrow on an episode of Raw, which resulted in Mark, in storyline, retiring from wrestling. Dwayne Gill also defeated Matt Hardy on the December 13th episode of Sunday Night Heat. What's a J.O.B Squad though that doesn't job, right? At WWF Rock Bottom, the Brood defeated Al Snow, Scorpio and Holly in what was actually a pretty good match. Take the gimmicks away here and the talent that was performing in the ring was good, so it shouldn't be a surprise here that they had this good match. The following month at the Royal Rumble, the J.O.B Squad lived up to their name as Al Snow, Dwayne Gill and the Blue Meanie were all eliminated within the span of 10 seconds. The group was seriously short-lived and they broke up 1 month after the Royal Rumble. Scorpio was released from the WWF while Gillberg was phased out of storylines. The Blue Meanie went on to feud with Goldust, leaving just 2 J.O.B Squad members left. Al Snow decided it would be a great idea to wrestle himself on an episode of Raw is War, causing Bob Holly to come to the ring to prevent Al from further hurting himself. This started a feud between Snow and Holly, resulting in Bob Holly picking up a victory against his old stablemate at St. Valentine's Day Massacre and winning the Hardcore title. This was the official end of the J.O.B Squad. In terms of championship success, Dwayne Gill is at the top of the J.O.B Squad ranks. Consider this, Dwayne Gill held a light heavyweight title from November 98 to February 2000, 448 days, so he is the longest reigning light heavyweight champion in the WWF since the company brought the title back in 1997. Granted, he was off TV for most of this title reign, but let's not ruin a good story. Obviously formed to poke fun at their status in wrestling at the time, the J.O.B Squad did serve a purpose. It gave these guys something to sink their teeth into for a little while, and while it wasn't the Four Horsemen or D-Generation X, each member played their role well and they knew where they were on the totem pole. They sold a few t-shirts and they got more TV time, which was much better than what a few of these members were doing beforehand.